This is such a stupid fight, honestly, but Reddit, do your thing. So, some backstory. During my 28-year-old male undergrad years, my parents paid for my grocery bills because they rightfully believe that good food is important to a student's health. I know my parents are awesome. They never set a monthly limit to how much I could spend, but I was really frugal and never went over a $200 limit I imposed on myself. Now I'm back in grad school for my master's and my parents are covering again. I know I'm an adult with a few years of work under my belt now, but not having to worry about groceries lets me chip at rent and loans and other bills without losing sleep. I'm back on my extremely frugal way of eating and meal planning because I'm still not going to take advantage of my parents' generosity. My 27-year-old male boyfriend, however, basically inhales all my food every time he's over. Like eating all my snacks and legit every frozen meal, all the meat. One time he even ate the other half of a cheese I had already bitten into, etc. So he's basically wolfing down my dinner and lunch. It's forced me to open my own wallet to accommodate him, because I'm not going to send my parents a suddenly huge grocery bill, and he's seriously messing up my finances. I plan basically down to the dollar. We got into arguments, and his side is basically that my parents are going to cover anyway, so I need to stop spending my own money and not worry so much. And when I go over to his house, I eat his food too, but I don't eat as much as he does. My arguments are, just because my parents are covering doesn't mean he can eat anything he wants. He legit eats my whole fridge. I'm not even joking. The only thing he leaves are the vegetables. And he could eat less? When we go out, he often has leftovers, so why eat everything at my place? I've banned him from cooking and using the raw ingredients at my place, and I'm only giving him my small stash of snacks when he comes over. And after the third time, he's not talking to me. Honestly, this is such a stupid fight, but if am I the idiot, then I'll apologize. Edit. Wow, this blew up. Spent my morning thinking this over, LOL. But here are some updates. First off, I am a guy. Jesus, I've gotten like at least 5 DMs from sleazy dudes telling me they'll treat me better and calling me weird pet names. Had one guy say, "Hey baby girl," which just made me laugh. And all of their profiles are gross and misogynistic. Being a woman sounds exhausting. Shout out to the ladies. You guys are strong AF. But yeah, I'm a gay dude. Some people are worried about the $200 a month. That was 10 years ago when I was in undergrad. Sorry for the confusion. It's closer to $300, $400 now. And some months when I get my school student food bank, I only go if they have too much because I know there are people that actually need it. And it's like $0, $100. So I guess it's $253, $150 average. But yeah, I'm doing all right. I didn't mention this, but I did cover part of my parents' mortgage when I was working after my bachelor's. Some people made comments about me leeching off my parents. I am right now, but I did help them too. My parents are angels and they know my friends' birthdays and always tell me to take them out during those months. So they're okay with paying for my boyfriend. But I'm not. Even during undergrad when I dated another guy I thought I wanted to one day marry, I never used their money on him. I don't use their money on anyone but myself. Does that make me selfish? Maybe. But honestly, I don't really care. Lots of people are telling me to dump him. Honestly, the spark wasn't there anymore for a while because we've been fighting over this and some other stuff for months. And a lot of people are telling me this is a respect issue more than a stupid fight like I thought. I'm going to think about how to approach this since he's just ignoring me now, LOL. But yeah, I think letting this relationship go might be the right move. I think I already knew, but sometimes it's hard, even if you know it's the right thing to do, you know? Anyway, not gonna check this account anymore because it was just a throwaway. Thanks, Reddit, for the help. Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1. Not the idiot, your boyfriend is inconsiderate as hell, and it feels like he is more just using you as a food bank, so he doesn't have to spend as much money on his own food. And it feels like he will likely extend this to other things, the more your relationship progresses. Also, your boyfriend is being completely inconsiderate of your own parents, and by extension feels like he is entitled to do as he pleases through you while actively exploiting you and leaving you hungry. Comment 2. Not the idiot. While he is your partner, he is also a guest in your home, and it's just poor manners to eat someone out of house and home. By all means, open the snack cabinet to him, but there should be a reasonable expectation that your groceries will last beyond him coming over for a day or two. It's also extremely tacky to say that it's all good because your parents foot the bill. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for the update. So the situation with my boyfriend went from bad to worse. Remember how I said he was ignoring me? Well, that didn't last long. He showed up at my place unannounced, and guess what? He had a key I didn't know about. He let himself in while I was at class and cleaned out my fridge. I'm talking everything, even the condiments. I came home to an empty kitchen and a note that said, "Since you're so worried about food, I helped you out. You're welcome." I was livid. I called him, and we had a screaming match over the phone. He said he was teaching me a lesson about sharing and not being so uptight. I told him he crossed a line and that I wanted my key back. He hung up on me. The next day, I found out from a mutual friend that he'd been bragging about what he did. He thought it was hilarious. That's when I knew this wasn't just about food. It was about control and disrespect. I couldn't believe I'd let someone like that into my life. I changed the locks on my apartment and sent him a message that it was over. I blocked him on everything. I was done. But he didn't take it well. He started spreading rumors about me to our friends, trying to turn them against me. It was like high school all over again. Then things took a turn. One of my friends who had been on the fence about the whole situation caught him in a lie. He'd told her that I was the one who took his food and that he was the victim. She knew it was BS and called him out on it. She told everyone what he'd done, and the tide started to turn. People saw him for who he really was. I was relieved, but the whole ordeal was emotionally draining. I had to focus on my studies and rebuild my sense of security. I started going to therapy to deal with the betrayal and the violation of my space. It was tough, but I was getting through it. A few weeks later, I got a letter from him. He was apologizing, saying he realized he'd messed up and that he wanted to make things right. But I wasn't interested in his apologies. I had moved on. I didn't respond. I learned a lot from this mess. I learned about boundaries, respect, and who my real friends are. I also learned that no matter how small an issue might seem, like someone eating your food, it can reveal much bigger problems in a relationship. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for reading. My wife hid $150,000 in debt and secretly financed her brother. So I took over every penny and left her on an allowance to teach her a lesson in honesty. When we married, we decided not to fully combine our finances. We have a shared account in which I fund 3/4 and she funds 1/4. We use this account to pay the mortgage, utilities, grocery, etc. We also have our separate accounts where we deposit the rest of our money. We're responsible for our own investments and cars. Things worked well for a couple of years until recently when she came to me crying. It turns out my wife is not good with her money and owes $150,000 spread over several credit cards in her car loan. Unless she wins the lottery, there's no way she would be able to pay off her debt, and I didn't want her to mess up her credit by declaring bankruptcy. I decided to loan her the money to pay off the debt on strict conditions. I will take over her finances, including receiving her income. She will be placed on a strict allowance and budget. She will have to ask permission to buy anything over $50 and have to go by my judgment. Once she pays me back the money, she can take control of her own finances. She argued against the conditions until I pointed out, I don't have $150,000 in cash stuff in the couch. I will have to sell some assets, including stocks that are currently performing well. If I loan her the money, it will cost me money. She finally agreed. So was I wrong to put those conditions on her? Hello all, I read some of your comments at lunch and continue to read them. When I got home from work, she started another round of arguments about the trip. I pointed out she has no money, at which point she pointed out that she hasn't hit the limit on one of her credit cards, and that card should cover her for a weekend. So I drove back to my office and we'll spend the night here. To answer some of your questions, 1. Our shared account pays for everything in the house. For example, a few weeks ago, we bought a new cookware set from Costco, and that money came from the shared account. 2. She works a full-time job. Minus her contribution to the shared account, the rest of her income is hers to spend as she wishes. I cover things we do together like dinners, dates, and vacations. 3. The principal amount she owes is about $120,000, of which about half is her car loan. The rest consists of interest and late fees. 4. I didn't bring up her debt in front of our friends because I wanted to protect her reputation. 5. I haven't liquidated anything. I'm working with my advisor and broker to decide what to liquidate to take the least financial and tax hit. 6, she doesn't gamble. I looked over her bills and it looked like she spent her money on dinners/drinks and shopping with her friends. 7, we've been married for less than 5 years and do not have children. We talked about starting a family in a couple of years. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the jerk. Get professional help. You sound decently good with finances, but you're far too close to the situation. When you're literally receiving your wife's money and telling her how she can spend it, I understand you have a very good reason, but this is a very slippery slope, and especially out of context is going to raise some major red flags. Get a professional involved, someone who can say no to your wife and not worry about the backlash. Someone who isn't sleeping with her and couldn't be construed to have ulterior motives. Comment 2, nope, not at all. I was in the same position, except roles reversed, and I had nowhere near as much debt. I was 19 years old and had $20,000 of debt. My girlfriend, now wife, at the time had far more knowledge about finance and basically took over my accounts and gave me $50 a week. I learned a lot in that time. And now, at 36, own my house outright. She made a good investment in me, haha. Not the jerk at all, and hopefully she learns how to manage her money better after this. And cut up credit cards too. Now for the update. Hello all. Things have escalated since I last wrote. I thought I had a handle on things, but I guess I was wrong. After the argument about the trip, things cooled down for a day or so. She seemed to accept the conditions I had laid out. But then out of nowhere, she hit me with the news. She confessed that the debt wasn't just from dinners and shopping. She'd been secretly supporting her brother, who's been out of work for over a year. I was floored. Not only had she hidden her debt, but she'd also hidden this. I felt betrayed. Her brother, who I always thought was a bit of a freeloader, was actually being bankrolled by my wife, and she had been lying to me about it for who knows how long. I was angry, sure, but more than that, I felt a fool for not seeing it. I had trusted her, and she'd gone behind my back. I had to take a step back and think. I didn't want to make any rash decisions, so I decided to meet her brother and talk to him directly. I wanted to understand why he needed the money and why they both felt they couldn't come to me. The conversation was eye-opening. He was full of excuses and didn't seem to have any intention of finding a job. It was clear he was taking advantage of her. After that, I made a choice. I told my wife that her brother needed to be cut off. If we were going to get out of this mess, we couldn't have any more secrets or financial drains. She was reluctant, but eventually agreed. I thought that was the end of it. But then 2 days later, I found out she'd taken out another credit card in her name and had already started using it to help her brother. I couldn't believe it. After everything, she was still choosing him over our future. I felt like I was at a breaking point. I decided to take control of the situation. I told her that I would pay off the new card, but this was the last straw. I would manage all the finances from now on. No more loans, no more credit cards, nothing. She agreed tearfully, and I thought that was that. I sold off some of my stocks, which hurt because they were doing well, but I figured it was for the best. I paid off her debts, cut up the credit cards, and set her on an allowance. It was tough love, but I thought it was necessary. But here's where I made my mistake. In my anger and my desire to fix things, I didn't see the full picture. I didn't realize that by taking away her financial independence, I was pushing her away. I thought I was taking a step towards fixing our marriage, but I was actually taking a step towards its end. She's been distant since then, and I can't shake the feeling that I've done something wrong. I thought I was making the right choice, but now I'm not so sure. It's like there's a coldness between us that wasn't there before. I wanted to protect us, our future, but maybe I went about it the wrong way. I'm trying to make things right, but it's hard. Every time I look at her, I see the betrayal, and I can't help but wonder if she's still hiding something from me. It's a mess, and I'm right in the middle of it, trying to find my way out. Thanks for reading. My roommate shames me for old stains on my underwear. But when she steals my grandmother's necklace, I expose her lies and watch her pack her bags in shame. This is such a stupid post, and I'm still so embarrassed and flabbergasted that this even happened to begin with. For context, I, 25F, live with roommates. All are female. We've all gotten close in the 2 years we've lived together, except for one roommate. We'll call her Emma, 23. It's not that I dislike Emma, but we've never meshed as well as my other roommates have. The other day, Emma called us all out to the living room where she was folding her laundry. She held up a pair of underwear and asked if it belonged to any of us, and I recognized them as mine, so I said yes. I apologized for the mix-up, and she immediately started yelling at me about how disgusting I am and how she wanted to light herself on fire after touching them. Since I live with all girls, this happens all the time, and none of us ever get weirded out by it. I can't even begin to count how many times someone's bras, socks, underwear, etc. have gotten mixed with my laundry by mistake. It's a bit embarrassing to admit, but I realized they were actually an old pair of period underwear that had, I cannot stress this enough, minor bloodstains on them from years ago when I first got my period. Emma again decided to loudly announce how gross she thought I was and how I should be ashamed for not throwing them out, and tried to get my other roommates to look and join in on her outburst. Thankfully, I live with some awesome girls, so nobody even batted an eye despite me being absolutely horrified that someone I live with would do something like that. Everyone was quick to reassure me that it's no big deal and it happens to all of us. They tried to tell Emma to chill out, but she wasn't having it. She just went to her room and slammed the door. For the next week, Emma didn't speak to me. She would loudly talk to all of our other roommates with no problem, but the minute I tried speaking to her, she would just walk away. A couple days ago, I was laying in bed and Emma was the only other person home. She knocked on my door, and when I opened it, she sheepishly asked me for a tampon, saying she woke up from a nap and bled through her shorts. How ironic. I laughed and told her no. I didn't have any left, and I knew our other roommates had some somewhere, so it's not like she had nothing. Yesterday, she asked all of us if she could borrow a shirt because her clothes were in the washer. We all said no, and I even said I wouldn't want her to light herself on fire after touching any of my nasty stuff. She rolled her eyes and gave me a half-assed apology, and I told her I don't want her touching or borrowing my stuff if that's the way she acts about a natural bodily function that she also goes through. She called me childish and said she didn't see the big deal. Now there's this weird passive-aggressive vibe every time we're in the same room, and I'm wondering if I should just apologize or not. I talked to some friends and they said I've got nothing to apologize for, but I'm wondering if I overreacted. So am I the idiot? Edit. Good Lord, since so many people are seemingly so fascinated by my so-called impossible pair of underwear that are over 10 years old, let me say this here instead of saying the same thing 10 times over in the comments like I have been. My mom bought them for me when I was like 14, and they ended up being way too big for me, so I only wore them in times of desperation until recent years. Never thought I'd have to explain my underwear to hundreds of strangers on the internet. But there's a first time for everything, I suppose. Edit #2. Okay, I just woke up and checked this for the first time in almost 9 hours. Y'all realize you sound creepy as frick when you zero in on my freaking underwear, right? This post was never meant to be about that. It's about my nasty roommate that shamed me for something I have no control over. The amount of comments I have received that have attempted to shame me for the exact same thing Emma did is repulsive. I'm glad it happened to me and not some other young girl who maybe just got her period and doesn't know a damn thing about it yet. Frick you, I'm not playing the victim, as some of you have suggested, for calling people out that are asking me to send them photos of the pair in question. If you're really bent out of shape over what a 25-year-old woman on the internet does with her belongings, you're weird. Sincerely, you sound like a freaking creep. Now, for a few comments before the update, comment 1. OP, why are you qualifying that the stains were from years ago when you first got your period? Periods are like wild animals. You may think you know what to expect, but that fricker will maul you when you least expect it. I've been getting a period for over 20 years and I still got up to a freaking crime scene in my pants a couple weeks ago. It happens. For one woman to shame another over the curse that burdens us all is disgusting. She can take her dainty little period and GTFO. Not the idiot. Comment 2. NTA Petty Me would tell her, well, what do we have here? Ruined shorts and underwear in a bed? That's gross. I'm surprised you didn't throw your clothes away after such a thing. Or perhaps light them on fire. Then the rest of what you said. Karma did not miss a beat, baby. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around after that last mess of a situation. Well, things escalated quickly after my last update. Emma, who had been giving me the silent treatment, suddenly decided to throw a party while the rest of us were out. We came back to a trashed apartment, and lo and behold, my room had been ransacked. My jewelry box was on the floor, and my grandmother's necklace was missing. I was livid. I confronted Emma, who denied everything, but I caught her wearing the necklace the next day. She claimed it was a mix-up, that she thought it was costume jewelry. Right, because family heirlooms are usually found in the bargain bin. I demanded she return it, but she just shrugged and said she lost it at the party. That's when I lost it. I told her she had until the end of the day to find it or I'd call the police. She rolled her eyes, but I wasn't playing around. By evening, she miraculously found the necklace in her room. She handed it over without a word, avoiding eye contact. The next day, I found out she'd been bad-mouthing me to our other roommates, saying I was overreacting and that I should be grateful she even bothered to find the necklace. I was done. I called a house meeting and laid out everything, from the underwear incident to the necklace. I showed them the text where she admitted to wearing it. The roommates were shocked. They'd had no idea about the extent of Emma's behavior. We all agreed that Emma's actions were out of line. It was decided that she would move out. She tried to argue, but the evidence was stacked against her. She packed her things and left that weekend. The atmosphere in the apartment instantly felt lighter. But just when I thought it was over, I got a message from Emma's mom. She accused me of bullying her daughter and demanded an apology. I explained the situation, and to my surprise, she apologized to me. She admitted that Emma had a history of taking things that didn't belong to her and causing drama. She thanked me for being patient and said she'd handle it from there. The necklace is back in its rightful place, and the apartment has been peaceful since Emma left. I'm just glad that's over with. Thanks for reading this far. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.